A little girl was going out with her mother for the first time. When her mother was briefly distracted, the sharp-eyed girl spotted a luxury car parked nearby. With innocent yet clever thinking, she decided to fake an accident with the car, all to find herself a wealthy father. The car owner seemed unaware of her plan. When he heard about a possible accident, he immediately stepped out of his vehicle. But the little girl was quicker, running up to him and sweetly calling out, "Daddy!" The CEO's face instantly turned crimson with embarrassment, leaving him nowhere to hide. Her mother quickly pulled her daughter away, but inadvertently noticed something unusual about the CEO. She observed that his legs seemed somewhat off, as if constrained by some strange force. The resourceful mother suggested a miraculous solution that would cost only $888. The CEO initially wanted to send them away, but was intrigued by something the little girl said. The child closed her eyes in deep thought, then opened them and declared confidently, "You must take us home right away, or your great-grandmother will be at death's door." Just then, the CEO's phone rang. The message announced that his grandmother was critically ill. Shocked by this coincidence, the CEO had no choice but to bring the mother and daughter to his home. Wealthy families often hide turbulent undercurrents and constant power struggles. While the grandfather was silently praying for his wife's recovery, the CEO's brother surprisingly suggested cremating the elderly woman. In desperation, the grandfather placed all his hopes on his limping grandson. At that moment,
continued to have an affair with her ex-boyfriend on the eve of her wedding. The next day, as if nothing had happened, she wore her wedding dress, waiting for the groom to come and marry her. However, the groom suddenly changed his attitude. He refused to even step into the bride's house, and instead sent someone to tell the bride to come outside. The bridesmaid insisted this was not the proper way to do things, and that the groom must come in person to escort the bride. He also had to give the bridesmaid a red envelope before being allowed inside. The man calmly said that he had no intention of entering, and gave the woman 3 minutes to come outside herself. The maid informed the woman, and she angrily stormed out, demanding to know what the man meant by this. The man coolly told her to hurry up and get in the car. The woman set her terms for getting in the car, demanding that the man first give the bridesmaid a $100,000 red envelope, then add a $1 billion order to her parents' company, and finally bow and apologize to her parents. The man looked at his watch, noting only 3 seconds left. When the time ran out, he immediately closed the car window, leaving the bride behind and driving away. The man did this because he was a reborn person. In his past life, to marry the woman he loved, he lowered himself, obediently following her every wish. But the woman didn't appreciate his love, and after marriage, she had an affair with her ex-boyfriend. She even embezzled $300 million from the company to fund his ex-boyfriend's business. Once she had drained the man's wealth, she asked for a divorce and claimed that she had never loved him. She confessed that she only married him for his family's money, because she had always loved her ex-boyfriend. The man was so enraged that he died on the spot. Fortunately, heaven pitied his plight and allowed him to be reborn to the day before the wedding. This time, he swore that he would never be deceived by the woman again, so he deliberately refused to get out of the car to pick her up, and instead made her come out on her own. The woman thought the man would still be as obedient as before, but to her shock, he truly left her behind. This infuriated the woman. At this moment, the bridesmaid realized that the man was angry about her affair with her ex-boyfriend, and urged her to apologize quickly. Her parents also criticized her for being entangled with her ex-boyfriend before the wedding, especially since their family was counting on the man's support. To avoid further trouble, the woman called the man, asking him to turn around and come back to pick her up. The man told her to take a taxi to the wedding venue, then hung up the phone. Reluctantly, the woman had to take a taxi to the venue in her wedding dress. As soon as she got out of the car, she angrily ran to the banquet hall. She felt a deep sense of fury, and demanded to know why the man had abandoned her. The man explained that it was she who didn't want to get in the car. This made her even angrier, and she said that even if she hadn't gotten in the car, the man should have begged her to. She accused him of lacking manners, but her father quickly stopped her from saying more. At this moment, 3 prominent families presented their wedding gifts. The 3 rich girls all wished to marry the man, and women don't know how to appreciate it. She still acts arrogant, warning that if the man made her unhappy again, she would cancel the wedding. The man nonchalantly responded, saying he didn't care. This infuriated the woman. Suddenly, the host announced that the wedding ceremony was starting. They were about to make their vows, and the woman grabbed the microphone to publicly confess her love. She claimed that they had been in a relationship since their school days, and then took off her wedding dress to put on a school uniform. The guests thought she was confessing her love to the man, and admired their love story. But when the host asked if he was willing to marry her, he took the microphone and said he wasn't. Everyone was shocked by this response. The man explained that the woman had already regained the ability to move, but his mother insisted he stay in the wheelchair, and told him to wait until tomorrow's wedding to stand up. This was because she wanted to test her future daughter-in-law's character, to see if she would still accept a son who was paralyzed, before handing over the huge family business to her. But what he didn't expect was, when he returned to his apartment, he overheard a shocking conversation between his girlfriend and a rich heir. That's when he realized his fiancée had already gone off track. They were even discussing how to scam insurance, and plot his death. The man didn't confront them right then, but instead began thinking about how to get back at his treacherous treacherous fiancé at the wedding the next day. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. So he told his mother everything. His mother was furious, and wanted to go immediately to seek justice for her son. But the man said he would expose everything himself at the wedding tomorrow. After hanging up the phone, he was about to leave when he saw a young lady being kidnapped by a group of thugs. When he saw that no one was helping, he threw off his disguise and grabbed the wheelchair to fight back. After successfully saving the girl, he realized she had been poisoned. To save her, he performed CPR, but when he leaned down for the second time, the girl had already regained consciousness, and mistook him for the bad guy. He quickly explained what had happened, how she had been kidnapped and drugged. An elderly person nearby confirmed his story. The man helped the girl up, and as they talked, the girl learned that his fiancé had betrayed him, and agreed to marry him instead. At that moment, the man, still reeling from the betrayal, didn't trust the girl, so he sat in the wheelchair and told her he would be paralyzed in a few days. He watched her expression change. Just as he was about to leave, the girl stopped him, saying she would take care of him for the rest of his life. The man was deeply moved by her sincerity. The man rented a girlfriend to take home for the new year. When his father saw the beautiful woman, he warmly welcomed her into the house, but he felt that something was off. After all, his son was just a delivery driver with a monthly salary of $3,000, so it seemed unlikely that he would have such a beautiful girlfriend. Moreover, the girl's clothes were quite expensive. To test the future daughter-in-law's character, he brought out some buns and leftover food he had found in the trash. The girl looked at it with disgust but still forced herself to take a few bites. When the father wasn't looking, she immediately vomited. The father thought it was good enough that the girl didn't openly reject the food. So, the next day, he arranged for a chef from a 5-star hotel to prepare a feast for the girl. It turned out that the young man's father was the world's richest person. To train his son to become the heir to the family business, he deliberately concealed his identity and pretended to be a farmer, making his son think the family was poor and that he had to rely on delivering food to make a living. One day, the father called and asked his son to bring his girlfriend home for the new year. The son, having no other option, decided to post an ad to rent a girlfriend. By chance, he came across a neurotic girl in a dumpster. The girl volunteered to be his girlfriend. The young man, with disdain, lowered the rental fee to $100 per day. This made the girl very angry, but considering she was homeless and had no place to go, she reluctantly agreed to go home with him. To get back at him for being stingy, she used his credit card to buy some expensive clothes. When the young man saw how beautiful she looked after dressing up, he began to take a liking to her. He then asked the girl her name and where she was from. The girl froze. She had originally come from a wealthy family, but her parents wanted her to marry a rich second-generation heir to please the powerful, which she refused. So, she ran away from home, and now she could only tell the young man that